Hello and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a little bit different from whatever my usual is. No timelines, no reviews. Today I'm going to be a little bit more introspective as I'm making this video to mark reaching 100 subscribers. It might be a modest milestone, but I wanted to mark it nonetheless to acknowledge that I appreciate your sub. So today I wanted to show off a little project I've been working on for the past few months. So I love collecting things, and as you may know, I love the Serenity comics. Note the Dark Horse Serenity comics, not the Boom Firefly comics, as I've discussed at some length in a previous video. So, over the past few months, I've been trying to complete my collection of Serenity comics, and I'm nearly there, so let's take a look. We're going to start off with the regular series comics before getting on to the special edition issues that I have. So first up, we have the 9 Those Left Behind issues, and these were really why I got started collecting all the Serenity comics. There's a chap on Reddit who had found an entire collection in some garage sale, and I got a little bit jealous, so I decided I needed to go ahead and complete my own collection. So I didn't have the Those Left Behind original issues. So there were 9 covers of these originally, and you can see that there's only 3 issues. So there were sort of 3 issues per 3 covers per issue, and I don't know why. Weirdly, the wash one is the hardest one to find. I actually probably have almost 2 collections of this, just about, because I tended to buy these in bundles, and it meant that I ended up with a few duplicates. So I've got about 3 copies of the Inara cover, but you know, who wouldn't want 3 Inaras? So next up is the Better Days comic, which is probably the easiest comics to find. I don't know particularly why, but these ones are the cheapest and the most plentiful, that you can still buy secondhand. I think the joke was that with the Those Left Behind comics, you had 3 covers per issue. With Better Days, they had 1 cover for 3 issues, and it forms this sort of triptych pattern, which I think is really nice. It's probably one of the best images that this series of comics had for their covers, and that's why I used it as the spine image for my comic books boxes. Then we had Float Out, and this actual issue has some sentimental value to me. This was the first comic book I ever bought, not just Serenity, just first comic book in general. Unfortunately, I would say that the story itself is not exactly the jewel in the crown. It's fine. It's not offensive, but it's not the best. I did have to find the variant cover, but that wasn't too difficult, but more expensive than the Better Days was. So after Float Out, then we jump ahead to 2014 and Leaves on the Wind. So there's 6 issues of Leaves on the Wind, and this was probably the easiest one for me to collect because I think I actually already had all the regular issues. Actually, back in 2014, I was much more liberal with my spending. So when these comics were coming out, I just bought both covers. So you had the kind of like the Dos Santos kind of realistic looking cover and the Georges Shanti sort of more cartoony cover, which matched the art style of the comic itself. And yeah, this was easy because I already had all these issues and in good condition from when I first bought them in 2014 when that came out. Moving ahead to 2016, obviously wherever I was in life in 2016, I was much meaner with my money because I only ordered 1 issue, 1 cover. So I did have to search for the cover that I was missing. So again, there's 2 covers. There's the realistic looking ones and there's the cartoony ones. And I think I've got just about all of them, although I'm missing the Janti number 5. But I'll get that at some point, I'm sure. And finally, in the sort of regular-ish editions, there's the Free Comic Book Day issue, and I have to say that this image is probably still the best, probably my favorite image of any of the covers that the Serenity series have produced. I think it nicely sums up a very typical Firefly scene. Like really, like that could come from like any point in the timeline, any episode. But there's also some nice symbolism. Like I think the 6 leaves kind of represent Mal's crew that still exist at this point, because they're the leaves on the wind. And there's also the Warrior in the Wind Free Comic Book Day from a few years later, which was a very sweet story as well. Wasn't too difficult to track that one down. There's plenty of those. So those are all the regular comics that I found. Mostly they were reasonably easy to get hold of. More difficult and kind of more fun as part of this sort of scavenger hunt were the sort of limited edition and special edition versions of the comics that came out. So there's the Those Left Behind, issue 1, which I think is some sort of reprint, and they reprinted it in this red border. I think that this was like part of a series where Dark Horse was reprinting a bunch of their number ones from various different lines. So that one's nice. These two are the number ones from Better Days. So like I think these might have been charity issues. Like at least this one was, because this one says down here, Kids Need to Read, which is a California charity. And this was a limited edition to 5,000 copies, and this was limited to 1,000 copies. Which, okay, that's limited, but I mean, I don't know how limited that really is, because like, I mean, I don't know what the kind of the circulation for like a regular Serenity comic would have been, but like I would have guessed something like 10 to 20,000 in the world. So like 5,000 doesn't feel super limited, if I'm honest. But nonetheless, I like the cover. I actually, before I started hunting these ones down, I had no idea these covers existed. This was a really big surprise. But yeah, I like these ones. This one, so this is the cover for Leaves on the Wind. It's one of the variants. So Leaves on the Wind and No Power, they all had 2 normal covers, like 2 normal variants per issue, the Dos Santos and the Georges Shanti ones. But the number ones for Leaves on the Wind and for No Power, they had some variants as well. So this was the Acme variant. And this one was super difficult to find. And I ended up finding it through a guy on Reddit. So I'd like to shout out to Will Netling, who very graciously agreed to sell me this copy. I was just thrilled to find this, because it's pretty difficult to find this one. And this is actually in excellent condition. These lines are printed on it. It's part of the effect. So thank you very much, Will, for agreeing to sell this to me. It's I'm absolutely thrilled to have this in my collection. Next, there's the Leaves in the Wind, the Ghost variant, which quite a bit easier to find than the Acme, but still pretty cool. Still quite like an iconic image, and particularly since Leaves in the Wind was really like picking up from Serenity the movie, where at the end of that, Mal's really pissed off the Alliance, and Leaves in the Wind kind of follows that up with the Alliance are actively hunting him, not just River and Simon in a sort of general, not particularly aggressive way. Like the Alliance are really good hunting these guys down. This is quite a nice image, which sort of captures that idea quite nicely. Yeah, this one, okay, we're on to No Power now. So this was a variant of the number 1. This was the Fried Pie variant, which is very, very stylized. And it depicts a scene from like basically the first few pages of No Power. I really like this one. I think this is really beautiful because of the style. This one quite difficult to get a hold of. Okay, this is the Nerd Block variant, which is like super cartoony. Art-wise, I'm less of a fan of this one. This one was also quite easy to find because actually Walmart still seem to have stock of this, even though it's what 5-ish years later. Walmart still seem to have stock of this for like $10. So I didn't need to like do much hunting to get hold of this. And okay, yeah, No Power had about like 6 variants for number one. So this was the I guess this would be like the local comic shop day variant, which not too difficult to find one like this, but it was I still think it's a nice cover. It's nice and simple. Miles Serenity, nice orange. And finally, this one is kind of a variant. It's kind of part of the Dark Horse Presents label. This was actually the one that I bought when the series came out in 2016. I didn't buy it because it was limited edition or special edition then. I just thought it was the one that kind of looked the coolest, so that's what I got. So yeah, that's all my special edition comics. I think I am still missing maybe one or two, and hopefully I find some at some point in the future. This was a really fun project. Like hunting these things down. Like it's nice to possess them, but just hunting them down was quite fun in and of itself. I ended up having to buy a lot of these from the US, which I would have thought was going to be just like insanely expensive because of shipping. But I actually found that there are companies that you can basically send all your packages to, and they'll just consolidate it all into like one package. So you only have to pay the overseas packing postage once, which was really good. I probably couldn't have done this without a company like that. It worked really well. I was very happy. I only had to spend maybe like $20-$30 on postage for all of them, rather than that for each individual one. It would have cost a fortune. So as I pack these away, I just want to do a bit of a 100 subscriber channel update for anyone that's interested. I haven't really discussed what my aims for this YouTube channel are, and that's really because I haven't particularly got any. Like when I started this, it wasn't because I was aiming for a particular number of views or subscribers or any other kind of metric. Mainly I did this because I was interested in learning how to make and edit videos, and I wanted to practice, and I have plenty of things to say about Firefly. So I thought it was a decent topic of content that I could make. So that being said, feel free to suggest any things that you think I could do to make this channel better. You could feel free to suggest video topics, but I couldn't promise to follow up on them because I do have a lot of ideas of my own, but I tend to just make a video about whatever is interesting to me at the time. Probably the next video I'll end up making is about Carnival, next Firefly novel, which should come out in October, but these novels often get delayed, so they might come out in November. So quite excited for that novel. A little bit mixed feelings based on the past two novels that have come out, but I'm optimistic about Carnival. Should be pretty good. Until then, thank you once again for 100 subscribers. I really appreciate it. It gives me some encouragement to keep going and to try and improve and to get better at this activity. And yeah, until next time, stay shiny, folks.